Hello and welcome to Sports Opinion, the weekly sports talk show on Channel 18. My name is Dirk Keller. It's been a while since we've seen you last. I think it's been about a month, and we're going to explain that in just a minute. But first, I want to reintroduce our friend Bob Boyd. Hello, Bob.
Hi, glad to be back.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Over there's Bud Supple. Bud, good to see you again.
Yep.
And we've got a very special guest, Mark Jennings, the Associate Athletic Director at the University of Iowa, is here. And we're going to talk all kinds of good stuff. As
Mark is special?
No,
never
been
I
special.
would say so. He's certainly a friend of Sports Opinion.
Yes, he is.
And we're glad to have him back.
He's a friend of all of us.
That's right.
Well, and we're going to talk about that, but first we want to talk about some other friends. First, we want to make sure that we wish a speedy recovery to Louise Murphy. Earl is by her side today as she recovers from not one, but two broken arms. God, I can't imagine that. Earl is taking care of her. Earl's fine. Louise is going to be fine. I want to thank everybody who had the kind wishes for me. I was in the hospital with diverticulitis for, gee whiz, 4 days. I
didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
I've been gone for 2 weeks.
I was really sick. I was really sick. But I had a lot of friends and family helping out, and I appreciate that. Also want to send out condolences to the family of Benny Bendorf. Benny was an Amana native. He was a Hawkeye baseball letter winner. He was my lunch partner every Monday through the school year at the Monday Morning Quarterback Club, and was such a nice guy. We really are going to miss Benny. He lived a good, long life, and we were really surprised to see that he had passed away last week. His burial was on Monday, and I'm going to miss his jokes. I'm going to miss his kind ways. He would sit with me and Earl and Bump and Mike Gatens and anybody else that gathered in our corner of knowledge at the Monday Morning Quarterback Club luncheons. So,
very nice guy. Where I first met Benny was in Amana. He ran the Amana Furniture Market for many years until he retired, and I happened to run into him out there because we used to sell, we being my business, used to sell them electrical products.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed visiting with him back then, and then when he retired, he moved to Iowa City. And he moved right down the street from me in a threeplex.
Oh, you're kidding?
No, right there on Stewart Court.
Really?
Yeah, and what a nice man.
I've known Benny since 1981, and he was like a Amana icon.
Yep.
Yes.
And
yes.
Always positive. Always positive.
Yeah.
And such a big Hawkeye fan.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what sport.
I worked with his son Carl at the foundation for many years.
Really?
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Benny was one of a kind, and it was really, my favorite thing was to sit there before our Monday morning speakers would show up. And he would talk about what it was like in the old days in Amana playing the town baseball.
Yeah.
He was one of those guys that played for the different communities. He played for the Amana community baseball team. He played, I want to say, for Norway. He told great stories about, he didn't play against Niall Kinnick, but he knew Niall Kinnick. He also knew Bill Zuber from Zuber's Restaurant in Amana, the former Yankee pitcher, and told some really great stories about other Iowans who went on to be Major League Baseball players. And it was just a history lesson every time that I would sit down and talk with Benny, and I'm going to miss him tremendously this coming school year. So I'm sorry I couldn't make it to the funeral or the visitation, but bless his memory, Benny Bendorf.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe, Mark, but it's 38 days until kickoff. 38 days until the Hawkeye football team kicks off on August 30th.
Mm-hmm.
Northern Iowa's coming to town, Labor Day weekend on Saturday, 11 a.m. start. And there's lots to be done between now and then.
Yeah, we had our first football game day meeting this morning.
Oh, yeah?
All the security, all the parking, concessions, maintenance, everybody, ticketing, everybody that has anything to do with football game day. We meet on a weekly basis, and we started today.
Was this one big meeting with everybody?
Yeah.
Where do you meet
we meet in the Iowa room in the Carver. And it's Paula Jantz. She runs the meeting, does an outstanding job as our game day events coordinator. She's Paula's. She's pretty special. And
Now
she
you
does a
say
great
she
job.
runs it.
She's in head of event planning for that day. So she's coordinating everything. She's coordinating the parking, the security,
The train?
well.
Oh, boy.
That I do the train,
Oh, you do.
but we talk about all them things in this meeting. I mean, there's 2 pages of agenda,
Yeah.
so
Bud.
it's a pretty good meeting.
Now, speaking of that, Mark, I mean, do they have how close to getting the football facility and parking lot completed are they?
That is, I walked that this morning so that
Uh-huh.
I could talk firsthand about it.
Oh, good.
Good.
It is going to be surprisingly very good for everybody over there. It's lots of room. This is what we call 43 Northwest, and which I didn't realize when you get back a little ways, there's only going to be parking on one side, and so there's all of this room. Plus, from the front of a car to the rec building is this huge grass area. So
Yeah.
everybody's going to have some grass area.
Where is
to
now
tailgate.
geographically? Paint a picture for us. Where you're talking.
Between the rec building and the new football facility,
Uh-huh.
and from the rec building to the parking where the cars park, there must be 20 feet of grass.
Oh, wow.
So, and then that everybody is going to have in front of their cars, and there's no cars next to the football facility.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go around the corner of the rec building, and we've got enough space there for 12 donors times their 2 spots, so there's 24 spots there.
Are you going around the rec building to the south or north?
Yeah, towards Kinnick.
Towards Kinnick?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
good.
there's, and that kind of sits up in the air a little bit, and you just you're just looking straight at Kinnick Stadium. It's about 30 feet from probably where a lot of them were parking before.
And this is in front of the entrance to
Yeah.
the old rec building.
Right.
Gotcha.
So it starts
Okay.
there, what wraps around, and it's lots of room. And the thing I was surprised at and very pleased is that when you get back a ways, there's not parking on both sides of that little street.
Yep.
It's just going to be parking on one side and then grass in front of every car.
The street on the east
The-
side of the current rec
No,
building?
the street on the west side
West
of the
side.
rec building.
Oh.
And then there's a circle that's right in front of the baseball.
There's going to be a street there.
Well, no, it's a circle drive. All it is parking.
I see.
I see.
I got you.
It comes in, there's a circle drive, so people can, if you come in and drop people off, go to the baseball stadium or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then, but that's all it is parking. And it's not a street, but it's wider than a normal parking lot would be, because there's no parking on the other side.
see.
Boy, that's great.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a lot of room. It's
Now that part-
it's ideal for tailgating.
Is it done now?
Yeah,
Really?
yes. And people, if you want to take a look at it, the fences will come down, Jane told me,
That was my next question.
August 1.
Okay.
So you're
Okay.
going to be welcome, after August 1, to wander back there and take a look, and you'll be pretty pleased with it.
And when will the football facility be done inside?
Well, as I said, they're going to take the fences down August 1, but there's still lots of little nooks and crannies they have to take care of. So I don't think, I don't know this for sure, but I don't think football, because they're going to be starting practice then.
Right.
I don't think they want to be confused with moving and
No.
where did I put this and where did I put that.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to delay actual moving into the new facility till maybe the off weekend, so they got a little time to move and get situated, and
Sure.
where they're not thinking about practicing for a game that weekend.
When is that off weekend, Mark?
First one is August 4th,
August,
or October 4th.
That's what I thought.
October.
Yeah, the August 4th is off too.
Why do we,
Yeah, that's good.
that brings to mind a quick question. Why do we have 2 bye weeks in October?
That's a darn good question. You have
Yeah.
to ask the Big Ten, the schedule makers, because it's it's the best month for football,
Yeah.
Yes,
and we've got one home game.
that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. But that'll probably flip flop then next year. Hopefully.
Probably, we
How?
hope.
How does that?
Well, everybody we play this year, we're going to play next year,
Right.
and so that should flip flop so that we'd have
Okay.
probably at least two home games in October.
So you
We've
said
got the
one
schedule
open date is
somewhere.
October 4th and the other open date is when?
Is like the 26th.
Okay,
Yeah,
the last
weekend.
first
of
and last
October.
Saturdays
Yeah,
in October.
yeah, and
Okay.
then we play, homecoming is the 11th, right in the
Yes.
center of the month, and then I think we go to Maryland that month.
So we have
Okay.
one home game in the month of October.
Yeah,
That's never happened, has it?
not that I
No
know
way.
of. We,
Wow.
And then we start out with 3 home games,
Yes.
which is
It's the hottest
makes
time
it
of
hard
year.
on my people that run the train.
Yeah.
They work hard running that train.
Well, it's
but-
so hot too.
Yeah,
In
and then we got the
September.
two of the games are 2:30, which
Yeah,
I think our
that's
fans.
nice.
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. The
Yeah,
second and
nice.
third games.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ball
those
State,
11
Iowa
o'clock
State.
starts in September, October. It is so hot, and you just, you've got that sun on you the whole game.
yeah,
It's hot for the players, coaches. Oof.
yeah. That early game.
Yeah. Well,
It's always about 90 degrees in September, the weather we should be having in
Right.
July and August.
Well,
No
hopefully
kidding.
those 2:30 games it'll be a little cooler.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's good.
well, and speaking of the schedule, the Hawkeyes have what appears to be a very favorable schedule, home and away this year. But there are question marks. What do we know about Maryland? What do we know about Rutgers? We play them both,
Pittsburgh, we know something
and
about.
we
them.
know about Pitt.
Yeah.
They're going to be
Well,
good.
They'll be good.
And
Yeah.
UNI scares me.
Oh yeah.
I'll never forget the last time
Oh.
we had to block 2 field goals with
Right.
no time on the
Well, or
clock.
last year, what I won't forget,
What?
when they beat Iowa State.
Oh, that.
Right
So we
off the
didn't play
go.
them last
You know,
year.
early in the year, UNI is always good because their numbers
That's
are
right.
down,
Yeah.
and so they're all healthy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yes.
so,
And they're fired up.
yeah,
They're mostly Iowans.
yep, they think they should have been Hawkeyes.
Yeah.
So I worry about UNI.
Yeah,
Well, Iowa State always worries me.
Oh yeah,
It's a home game, though.
Yeah, but still, they beat us here several times.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
they have.
I think
yeah. But we should be good. If we
Ball
can just
State's
stay
no
healthy.
slouch.
2 years ago we got beat by Iowa State here, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Ball State, they went to a bowl game last year, had one of the best records in their
Right.
history.
Right.
What? I ran into somebody last night at the Regina baseball game. Before I forget, and I did already forget. I want to congratulate the Regina Regals baseball team and Coach Andy Gahan in his 16th season. They are finally going back to the state tournament in Des Moines for the first time in 15 years since 1999, which I found really hard to believe. As good a program as Andy has developed
Yeah.
there. So they're heading back to the state tournament on Monday night. I also want to wish the West High baseball team and Coach Stumpf well. They've got a heck of a team again, and they're hosting the sub-state game tonight against, I want to say, Burlington or West Burlington or somebody.
Yeah, I think it's
Burlington.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're 31-6 or
Yeah.
something, and they've got a great program over
Yeah.
there.
So I'm sorry I forgot that, but anyway, back to football for a second.
Well, let me interrupt there.
Yeah,
It's also Andy Gann's last season
Good
because
point.
he's going to be a principal at, I think it's one of
it's
the
Coralville Central.
Coralville Central, and so his duties are going to increase, and so it's nice to see Andy and his team in his last season get to the state tournament, because that's just
And he
a great
doesn't,
way to finish.
he doesn't necessarily want it if it's
Yeah.
last season.
Right.
He's forced to because
Yeah.
Choice.
the
That's
city
correct.
schools, if you're a principal,
Yep.
That's
you can't
correct.
coach.
And Andy's one of the good guys.
Yes,
I know
he is.
my son has been in his baseball camp for the last, 4 or 5 years. And he treats my son just like he does everybody else, really well, like his own kid. And I know the Regina players really admire him, love him, and are playing for him. And they got a big task on their hands Monday night in Des Moines, but they made it that far, and that's a doggone good team. It was a really exciting game last night. And
Who do they play Monday?
I forget.
The two favorites.
It's like the number
Played
2
last
ranked
night.
team in the state.
Okay, Beckman's the number one,
This is number 2.
and they played Wilton last night, number 4.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about Regina too is, they're 26-16, but several of their losses have come to 3A and 4A.
Oh, many
teams,
of them.
So
Yeah. They played a real tough
schedule, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little deceptive.
Yeah. So back to the Hawks for a second. The schedule for the Hawkeyes. What to make of it? I don't know. What do you know about the Rutgers and Maryland programs?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
It's a whole new game for us, adding those two schools. You scratch your head and you wonder why Rutgers and Maryland, but I will never doubt Commissioner Delaney after he put the Big Ten Network together. Everybody was kind of laughing at that, and he's just been a genius with the Big Ten Network.
So everybody else is following behind.
My guess is Delaney knows what he's doing. I know our fans are anxious to. We've sold a lot of Maryland tickets because they want to go there for the first time.
Yeah.
Washington D.C. is right there, so they can take a few days, and family can go and see Washington D.C.
And Maryland is selling more tickets than they have the last 10 years.
Yeah,
To their own fans,
Right.
so they must love
I
it.
think they're excited to be in the Big Ten.
I bet they are,
as well as Rutgers is, and so it's going to be exciting. The Pittsburgh game. A few years ago, we went to Pittsburgh, and for the people that haven't done that,
They
that
have
is
to
a
go.
very, very
We're
good
going an
road
extra
trip.
day.
Yeah, that's a very good road trip.
Yeah.
Because the stadium is right downtown. It's the pro stadium, and the rivers, they're
Beautiful sighting.
merge and.
And if the Pirates are at home, that stadium's right now.
Right, that's right. next
Everything's
door.
downtown.
It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, right.
So I think our fans will enjoy the Pittsburgh trip. And then, Purdue is easy to get to. Illinois is easy to get to. So it's
Illinois
really
is
good.
back on the schedule.
Yeah.
Minnesota's easy to get to.
Yeah.
But neither one. Illinois is not going to be easy on us.
What do you mean? As an
They're going to be
opponent?
tough. Yes.
They suck.
Okay, you can say that. I-
Bud Supple.
Dirk said that, right?
That's right.
Bud Supple.
Yes.
they're all
I've been there
tough.
many
They are
times.
oh yeah. I've been there a million times too. And
And I
I
got
don't know if
beat.
Illinois has ever sucked more than they suck this coming year.
They're not
terrible.
good. You're
They're
right.
terrible.
They've been bad. But
That's a great road trip, a great road game for
It
the
is.
Hawkeye football team.
less than a 4-hour drive, for Iowa fans.
Yeah.
It's a good trip. I
So-
was talking to Bobby Kennedy, who's a neighbor of mine here about a month ago, and one thing that does concern everybody, including probably the coaching staff, is everybody's talking about what a great schedule Iowa
Yep.
has, and then you start going over what we just did with Northern Iowa and Iowa
Northern
State and
Iowa.
Pittsburgh.
And don't forget
Worry
Ball
about-
State.
Worry
and
about Northern
there's
Iowa.
no, and what Bobby was saying is there's no gimmies.
No.
These are all tough teams, and you
Yeah.
got to take a game at a time. And yet we're all pretty optimistic about our schedule being easier than it normally is because we're not playing Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, or
Michigan State.
Michigan State. Yeah,
I like our team though.
I do too.
I really like
Yeah,
our
I
team.
do too. Yeah.
We got a lot of experience coming back. Anytime you have a experienced quarterback coming back, it's a plus. Plus our
Two experienced quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I tell you, the second guy's pretty darn good. That spring game was amazing.
And I get a feeling we're going to see more of both quarterbacks playing in the same game this
Well,
year.
we've always heard that, but it always comes down to one. It seems like over
Well.
the years.
I like our offensive line, our
Oh.
defensive line,
Yeah,
and the linebackers in the spring game look good.
good.
Running backs,
Oh,
tight
we're
ends.
loaded in
I
running
mean,
back.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Let's
I don't
go.
think there's a Big Ten team that has as many good running backs
Mm-hmm.
as Iowa.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, because we've been bitten by the angry Iowa running back hating God over the last decade. But we got a pretty good warehouse full.
Yeah.
So it's a very exciting time to be a Hawkeye fan. The season is almost upon us. Only
And we do have
38
tickets
days.
available.
Let's talk about that. You
Yeah.
had okay. Once again, the athletic department had to go through the reseating policy, and that's RESEATING. So everybody had to assess their contributions, had to assess, and you had to assess
Yeah.
everybody's, not just their contributions, but the years that they've been buying and giving, and how many season tickets they buy, and things like that. And
In 2006, when we did it the first time, I said, well, the next time I'll be retired. Well,
Yeah.
I missed that by a couple of years. But, the big question is, why do you do it? Well, if we're going to have a priority point system, which is very fair because it factors everything you just mentioned, your longevity, years of buying, your contributions, the number of years you've been giving, and it's a fair
However,
system.
let me stop you there.
Mhm.
However, in case like mine,
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
it doesn't do that.
Well,
Let's do a
we
close-up
factor
on
in
Bud,
all your
Jerry.
Otherwise, huh?
all your years of buying and all your years of giving is all factored in. All the way back to where we kept
And then
records.
here's Joe Blow up here, sitting in the press box with 6 guys, and he's got 8 more in there. He can come down and boot me out of there.
That's possible.
Possible
That's
to happen.
Yeah, and we're gonna work on that, aren't
Yeah, right.
we? I keep forgetting.
Yeah, don't forget.
Hey, Joe, let's do a close-up of Bud, okay?
Yeah.
So, anyway, we did do the reseeding, and, you know, one of the misnomers is, we always hear people say, oh, well, sure wish I could get a ticket to an Iowa football game. Well, we've got tickets available for every home game, and one of the reasons, it's not because our general public is not buying, because our general public sales are terrific.
Yeah.
You know, as good as they've ever been. But our students
Yeah.
just aren't buying tickets, and it's not just here.
Oh, no.
I read a couple weeks ago, Michigan, they set 21,000 seats aside for students, and they're always been sold out. They've only sold 10,000. We set 10,400 aside for our students, and a few years ago, they were all sold out. Last year, we sold 7,000 to the students, and this year, if we hit 6,000, we'll be doing good.
Okay, what's the reasoning behind that?
I don't know.
You guys have
I can tell
tried
you
to
the
evaluate
reason.
it.
I mean, it's
Text-
pretty, to me, it's pretty simple. It's a different age, different generation. Part of it, quite frankly, I think, personally, I think, is the Big Ten Network.
There
We've
you
made
go.
it too easy for them to sit in the dorm, to sit in the apartment, and turn the game on without making a commitment. And they have so many other forms of entertainment and communication.
Yeah,
It's
they're all-
basically these things right here. And, you know, you can't get great Wi-Fi reception at
Right.
Kinnick Stadium. I hear you guys are working on that.
Well, yeah, but
Well-
it's just not going to happen.
Right.
Even Texas Stadium, where, you know, Jones spent $1 billion, they don't have. He thought he had the best going for Wi-Fi. And,
It's
but
just too many people
too many
on
people in
one
one area.
area.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, there's one other reason.
Yeah.
I think the University of Iowa has done about everything they could do to chase the student tailgate experience somewhere else.
Oh, well, we got just the man to address that issue.
Well, Mark
Not
hasn't
really.
done it.
No, no,
You know,
no.
but I'm just saying, they've changed the whole atmosphere over there for a handful of idiots that show up every Saturday.
Yeah.
And it's affected not only the students, but it's affected a lot of adults that have been going for years.
And
It's
I
a
don't know-
different atmosphere.
I don't know how you guys feel, but that's another thing with this generation of youth, of college-age students. The goal is often to get as drunk as you can, as fast as you can. And I don't know, I can only speak for my generation when we were that age. Yeah, we wanted to have a beer, but it wasn't a big deal. If you took a Boda into the game, it was okay. And I personally didn't see as many just blotto drunk students as I used to. Now they just don't even come.
That's true.
Well,
But
you know,
we've changed, the minority has dictated a lot of what's happened in the last 5 years.
there's so many things for them to do. Like you said, they can watch them all on
Yeah.
TV. But so getting back to our tickets available, so we're going to take some of the top sections of where the students are, and we're going to open them up to general public. So we do have a number of tickets available for every game, including the Iowa State game. We've got a couple thousand left for Iowa State.
Well,
Those
that's
will
good to
sell.
hear, Mark, because it is frustrating because you're sitting in the stands are full, and
Except that one.
you
section.
look over,
Yeah.
well, I can't look over, but everybody else tells me, you look in that corner and they're going, where are the students?
Yeah.
You know?
But it's not an Iowa thing. It's that
It's-
way.
Well, it's
No,
good to hear
everywhere.
that
Yeah,
it's
it's everywhere.
everywhere.
Oh,
Yeah,
Ohio
I mean,
State even.
Ohio, that's
Yeah,
what
well,
I was gonna say, the
yeah.
last time,
Yeah.
Ohio State, there was a big section.
Yeah.
Yeah. Students just don't feel vested in the program the way they used to a generation or two ago. Why? I think there are a multitude of reasons. We talked about some of them. But the bottom line is, it's not us, it's everywhere. Students are just
Yeah.
less vested, more apathetic, and they've got more entertainment at their fingertips, literally and figuratively.
Well, as you guys,
Then you go out and look in the parking lot, there's a hell of a lot of people don't even go in the stadium,
Yeah.
they come to
Yeah.
tailgate.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a different atmosphere, it's a
Yeah,
different
right,
culture
that's
these
right.
days.
Some of these students are sitting in their apartment with a 60-inch TV screen. for
Yeah.
goodness sakes. It's a
Well, that's the
little
other
bit
thing.
different student atmosphere
back.
in this day and age.
And let's face it, look at last year. Those first 3 games, those first 3 home games, were just brutally hot. The last 3 home games were brutally cold.
Yeah.
I think there was one halfway decent weather. There was rain. I mean, as far as home game atmosphere goes, last year was really tough weather-wise. And, you know, students remember that. It's a lot easier to sit at home and not have to brave the elements and deal with security and sneaking the booze in.
But I'm glad to hear that the athletic department, Mark, is doing what you're doing, making those student tickets available.
Well,
and
see,
you know what? Sell more of them. Make that student ticket a little hard to get. Then they might want them.
Bob, you know, last year it snuck up on us because we were used to having that section full.
Yes.
And it snuck up on us that, oh my gosh, they're not going to buy them.
Yeah.
So we had a tough time at that point selling them. Now we know they're not going to be there. So we last week, 2 weeks ago, we started selling those tickets. And so I think for most of the game it's going to look full.
Good.
Okay, tell me this. We got Iowa State, we got Northern Iowa coming in. Do they get as many tickets as they want?
No.
Do they get more than, let's say, Northwestern does?
No. We have up until a year ago, we set aside 4,000 tickets for every school,
Including them?
Yeah, and that's about this year. Now we lowered that to 3,000 because
Okay,
Minnesota.
glad to hear that.
Good.
The minimum is 3,000 in the Big Ten. So Minnesota and Wisconsin started this and started giving us only 3,000. I believe Nebraska was in about the same boat. So
Are those schools doing the same thing to every opponent or just us?
I don't know that. But whatever that number is, it's a bench number.
Yes.
So, like, we have to, for Ball State, we have to those tickets are gone, basically, because we have to expect Ball State to order 3,000 when they'll order maybe 300.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, 2 weeks before the Ball State game, we got another 2,000 tickets we got to sell. So that's why people, I think, are confused as to, well, how come you said there was no tickets available a month ago, and all of a sudden now there's 500 tickets available.
Yeah.
It's because the visiting team. We have to wait until they're done, and we kind of a mutual agreement in the Big Ten to give plenty of time to the other schools, but some of the non-conference, they don't quite work that way. But you and I will probably use a good number. Iowa State will probably use their 3,000. Wisconsin will use theirs, and Nebraska will use theirs. So there'll be just a couple games where at the last minute we'll have a lot of tickets.
Okay, in the last minute, so I'm living over in Nebraska. Can I call the athletic department?
Yeah.
And get tickets
If
3 days before the game?
If they're available.
If they're available,
because we don't know. It's like if there was tickets available for an Illinois, we got a lot of Iowa fans with Illinois addresses.
Right.
So you can't say, are you a...
The only reason I bring it up Nebraska, that's a holiday. The students are gone. A lot of people are gone.
Right.
So that's...
Good question, though. What we did this year, because the students will be on break,
Yes.
we allowed the students only to order 6 games.
Oh, okay, good.
So it's not like we're going to cheat them out of paying for a game they're not going to be here. So if they knew they were going home at Thanksgiving, they could order just a 6-game package, and then we've got that. We know we've got that number available for Nebraska.
Good idea.
By the way, we're visiting with Mark Jennings, the Associate Athletic Director at the University of Iowa, talking about changes and things like that and what to expect this new Hawkeye football season. Again, kickoff is 38 days away.
Wow.
So tickets, reseating, that's interesting. Going to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about your former boss and close friend.
Yeah.
Bob Bowlesby is the commissioner for the Big 12 Athletic Conference. You may recall that when he left Iowa, he took the athletic director's job at Stanford in California, which that's a heck of a job, the Stanford job. Heck of a campus and community, and yet Bob left and took the job with the Big 12 as their conference commissioner. And a few days ago, he was in the news, all over the news, with some comments, very blunt comments that I thought were very refreshing. We've had Bob on our show before, and it didn't surprise me at all what he said, but essentially he said several things. He talked about several different topics, and again, very frank answers. The first one was about cheating. That's the one that got my attention.
Me too.
He admitted there's cheating going on. He doesn't think that there are cheaters in the Big 12.
Maybe one. Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
They're investigating that.
Yeah. I think it was a blunt
he went
remark.
on to say, and I think it's a fact, the NCAA has not had an investigation
Right.
For a year.
right for a year now. Don't tell me there.
And he said it's a numbers game because they just don't, NCAA doesn't have enough people, but more importantly, I thought he was very blunt when he said they don't have the power. If somebody wants to cheat and they're not working for the athletic department at said university, there's nothing that compels them to testify or to admit to guilt. There's no subpoena power on the NCAA's part, and there never has been. So if you're working outside the university realm, you're pretty much free to do whatever you want. And that's essentially what Bob was saying.
Well, and plus their inconsistency with their penalties is ridiculous. They're not consistent.
No.
But they did lose some staff. Remember the University of Miami investigation? They were
Yeah.
caught up in that for a couple of years, and I think that
Frank
all ended
Hayes
last year
and-
because a couple of people who were investigating it took other jobs.
Yeah.
So you're right in the middle of something, and you know, people bolt on you for better opportunities, and that
But the
puts
big
them
thing,
in
as
a
far as I'm
bind.
concerned, is the money again. Everything boils down to money now in sports.
Yeah,
Everything. Amen.
true.
Train
Well,
rides
Mark-
and everything.
Mark knows that.
Yeah,
Well, I thought Bob was spot on.
yes,
I
I
did
agree.
too.
I thought, good for you. I gave him a day, and then but we talked last night, and I told him. He says, I probably opened my mouth and said too much, and I said, no, I don't think so. I said,
No.
no, I don't.
I said,
either.
when you work inside the athletic departments, 24/7 like we do, and you know all the other things that are going on. There's so much change coming. It is going to be shocking in a very, very near future. This cost of attendance is going to be something that's going to cost all of our departments.
What do you mean by cost of attendance?
Well, students, they're talking about wanting to be paid and so forth.
Yep.
Well, number one, I put 2 kids through college, and getting a college education is worth a lot of money.
Boy, yeah.
And they're getting a very, very good college education. And so that's one thing. The other thing that the talking heads never, ever talk about, and that's the federal Pell Grant. They say, well, these kids can't work, so they can't even afford to go have a pizza or go to a movie. Well, that's not right. There's a federal Pell Grant that's been in place for many, many, many years. And if a student can prove need, which we have 100 student athletes on our campus right now that can prove need, they can get as much as $5,800 a year, free money, to do whatever they want. But nobody ever talks about that. And I mean, and if you are a baseball player and you are on 20% scholarship, which you can
That's
do.
a lot for a baseball player.
Which you can do. Well, then you can get a Pell Grant. But you have to fill out the FAFSA form and prove.
Can you also get a job?
Well, let's see. I'm not sure about what sports can. I know
Yeah.
football and the full ride
Right.
can't. But so the Pell Grant has been in place for many, many years. Now that what this cost of attendance is going to do, the NCAA has said that each state, and it's not the university, it's not the Board of Regents, I don't know who makes up what the cost of attendance is in the state of Iowa for every school. But they have determined that the cost of attendance above and beyond what the scholarship is for Iowa is $1,800 and some a year. That means money to go home at Christmas, maybe go to a movie or buy extra books that that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Above and beyond what the scholarship and room and board provide.
Okay.
But like in Wisconsin, their cost of attendance is over $3,000. So they're saying the cost of living in Wisconsin is more than the cost of living in Iowa.
Almost twice as much.
So obviously Wisconsin, they're going to have to come up with a lot more money next year than we will. But
It's a recruiting tool.
it's a recruiting thing.
Oh,
Their
yeah.
football coach might say, well, you're going to either Iowa or Wisconsin. You know, if you come to Wisconsin, you're going to get an extra $3,000. You go to Iowa, you're only going to get $1,800, and we'll have no say in that.
Yeah.
That'll be dictated for us.
And will
So,
that compare to northern Iowa?
They're not part of
no.
the Super 65.
They're not in Division
well,
One.
but that's the big argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
Right.
that the voting of the 350 college
There you go.
programs, the 65 Division I schools should have a separate vote than the other 280 or whatever.
And that's what it's coming down to,
And that's
is
what
the voting.
that's one of the things Bob talked about.
Yeah.
Was there
Yeah.
has to be. I don't know how you and I, for example, will afford to do that. To give every one of their student athletes an
No.
extra $1,800, because it's going to cost us
They
about
can't.
$700,000 more.
Yeah.
And we're,
Think of
you
that.
look to the sky, where are you going to get that $700,000?
Yeah.
Oh, I know you could. You
Oh,
could
yeah.
write a check, but
That's why I'm always calling you.
so there's a lot of issues
Oh, boy.
that are just on the edge of taking place, and a lot of it has to do with the O'Bannon case.
Ed O'Bannon, former UCLA basketball player, who sued the NCAA because they continued to use his image and likeness after he had graduated, or at least left UCLA. I don't know that he even ever
And
graduated.
That's in an LA court, which is scary.
Yeah. Well, and
As liberal as they are out there.
that's what Bob Bowlesby was talking about. That's what we addressed with Gary Barta on our last show.
Yeah.
We keep talking about the Super 65 or the Super 5 conferences, the Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12, SEC, and ACC.
Yeah.
Those are the 5 conferences that form the 65 top or Super 65 colleges in the country. They feel, Iowa being one of them, and the Big 10 being one of them, that as Mark just said, that these lawsuits and decisions that are being made really affect them to a much greater degree than the other schools, the other
Yes.
260 some schools that are NCAA members.
And they're going to fight it.
And
Well, yeah.
and it's leverage.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about
Yeah.
leverage. You can already see where this is going to go. The SEC commissioner, a month or two ago, came right out and said, by the end, is it the 1st of August or the end of August?
1st of August.
1st of August. We're going to have some answers, and I think, as Bob Bowlesby pointed out, and Mark agrees, he was very astute and honest. Change is coming, and it's going to be big change. We can complain and whine about the money, because that is at the root of it all, but it's the leverage, and Bob said it.
And
Olympic sports are going to be the first to suffer.
it's something that's going to have to give. And,
Yeah.
And it because of Title IX, you know,
It ain't
it's
gonna be
not
women's.
going to be the women's sports.
Well,
And it's not going to be football, and it's not going to be men's or women's basketball.
Those are the moneymakers.
So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes down here over the next few months. And
Well,
I'm not saying years, I'm saying a few months.
even if
Yeah.
even if a decision is made, I mean, everybody's going to be appealing it.
Good point, Bob.
I mean, you could be in a court of law for a decade.
You're right, Bob. We may never know the vote of the Northwestern football team.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That vote is kept secret.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if it gets appealed and it goes to Supreme Court and so forth, we may never know how that football team voted
Yeah.
on forming a union.
There are a lot of issues that are at stake, and they're going to have a big impact, not just on football, but on all of athletics at the collegiate level
But
for a long time.
I go back to one thing last spring. Our spring game I thought was fantastic. Next day, I look at Alabama. You couldn't get a seat for it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's money again.
Different world down
Yeah.
there.
Those
The
people
SEC.
sitting there are the ones that are going to get the tickets for the season.
Now, I forget who it was, but yesterday after Bob Bowlesby made his comments. Somebody, I think it might be one of the ESPN talking heads, or maybe it was it was June Jones, coach at, where is he now? He's
SMU?
I think it is
I
SMU. Yes,
think
he
it
is at SMU.
I think so.
And SMU is not one of the 65 power schools. They're not a member of the 5 power conferences. He said that he envisions the top 65 schools continuing to play football in the fall, and maybe the smaller schools, the rest of them, play in the spring.
Oh, that'll never happen.
Well, then I don't think you'll get the fans in there. You
Yeah.
got baseball, it's like these pro games that we watch on that football game. There's never any more than 2,000-3,000 people in there.
At where?
In the arena games?
The arena
arena
games,
football?
right.
Well, I was down in the South, North Carolina, South Carolina, the last 2 weeks, and I mean, all you hear on the radio and TV is SEC conference coming with their TV network like the Big Ten, August 1st.
Yeah.
And I think they're just affiliated with ESPN.
Yeah, they
aren't
are, yeah.
Yeah.
However, when we added these 2 schools out east, that Big Ten network is gonna be your #1 network.
Oh, it already is.
Yeah.
They
I
just
know, but I mean,
cemented.
Yeah.
he says, here we come, well, let them come, bring it on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're not gonna touch that Big Ten
We went
network.
from, I don't know the numbers, we were in 81 million homes. I don't know what that number is gonna be now after Maryland and Rutgers is added. but
Just nothing
it's
but
gonna be-
greater.
It's gonna be well over 100 million homes that the
Oh,
Big Ten
yeah.
network is gonna be.
Oh, yeah,
Gonna be
easily.
in,
And this is why we have the schedule we have. They're gonna show their football teams on.
yeah.
Let me ask you this, Mark. Do you anticipate any more schools entering the Big Ten?
Well, a year ago or 2 years ago, if you would ask, I would have said no. We're going to stay. Even we were at Michigan, and the rumor was when we got on the team plane that Maryland and Rutgers were. And I said, nah, that's not going to happen. Well, the next morning it happened. So don't ask me. If I originally. When they were talking about expansion, after Nebraska, I originally thought that Missouri
Yes.
and Pittsburgh were
Me too.
two really natural Big
Yep.
Ten footprints.
Missouri made all the sense in the world to me.
Yeah, and they were contiguous.
Yep.
It would have put Pennsylvania then would have had
Yep.
two schools
On each end
on
of the
each
state.
end of the state. But I'm not the commissioner,
No.
so
Well, funny, how long has Bob Bowlesby been gone from Iowa?
he left in 06.
Just before he left, he came on our show.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys remember, but we were talking about Big Ten expansion then. And I forget what schools were being bandied about at that time, but he looked at us and he said, if I had to put money on, I'd say Rutgers. And I know we all thought, ooh,
Are you
Rutgers.
serious?
And by
But
God,
he had a good reason.
that stayed with me. He knew.
Yeah.
That
He
stayed with
knew.
me for a long time. I thought he knows what he's talking about. And it's always, anymore, it's always about not just the money, but the TV sets
Yes.
that you can reach.
There you go.
Don't make any, this is what I do for a living. I know how this stuff works, and it's all about the TV sets, the potential sets of eyes for the games.
The footprint of the Big Ten now, it's pretty impressive. It goes from Colorado all the way to the Atlantic Ocean, and the footprint of the Big Ten. Now, that's a heck of a
That's
footprint for our conference.
Well, when you pick up New York and DC in 1 year.
Nobody else has got that. No
No,
other
I know.
conference.
Yeah.
California, Pac-12's got a pretty impressive footprint up and down the West Coast into Arizona. SEC's all over the Southeast. Big 12, yeah. And speaking of the Big 12, what's going to happen to them? They only have how many schools?
10 teams.
10.
Yeah.
Do you see? Are there rumors of other schools joining the Big 12?
I think they dodged the bullet back a few
yeah.
years ago when Colorado, Missouri, Nebraska, when they were all jumping Texas A&M, they were all jumping ship. I thought it was going to fall apart, but with Bob there, I think he'll know what to do to keep the Big 12.
If you were
Strong.
to guess, who would be likely candidates for the Big 12? I
don't know.
Arkansas.
Not us.
Arkansas.
But they just joined the SEC.
I know, but they're
Or not just, but
but they're going to be jumping around.
Colorado
There'll be a lot
State,
of jumping
maybe.
around.
Colorado State? Is
Yeah.
it big enough?
I don't
It's
know.
big enough.
How many students do they enroll?
Oh, it's over 20, I think.
Is it?
Probably, yeah.
Fort
Even
Collins, you know.
me. Yeah, it's, I had a granddaughter go there, it's 24, 23.
West
Okay.
Virginia's a strange
Yeah,
matchup there.
yeah, that
I
is.
just don't.
You know, the other thing about, we talk about money, with Maryland and Rutgers being added, it was a shock to our budget when we got 24 teams now that have to travel to Maryland or Rutgers.
Yes.
That's the biggest expense probably in our budget is team travel.
Yeah.
You know, you take a softball team to Maryland, that's the airline tickets for 30 student athletes is a lot of money. And we
Don't
do
you
that with
have
every sport.
access to small private planes?
No.
There's no contributor that
No.
can. Other schools, bigger.
Well,
Some of the schools do
I
have
think
that,
there's a
right?
few schools that may have some small planes where they can maybe take a gymnastics team
Yeah.
or a golf team or something, but I don't think anybody has a plane that they own a plane that could take like a baseball team. And obviously nobody with a
It's like
football
when
team.
Purdue, you had to get 3 or 4 planes to take the teams.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
Purdue was in it.
I saw pictures of the golf team's travel vehicle.
Isn't that nice?
Oh,
That's-
I'm really
that's
happy
sweet.
for them. They deserve
Yeah.
that.
What is it, I guess, I don't know.
It's a Mercedes full big huge van with the leather seats, and each
can stand in it.
student athlete has.
Seriously?
Oh, it's fabulous. We're working on one for our women's golf team too.
Oh, they deserve
Oh,
that.
wow.
They
Yeah.
work hard, and
Yeah.
Mark Hankins has achieved so much success.
Boy, has he
And
ever.
he's a great guy. So,
But you brought up the point, Maryland,
Mm-hmm.
and those teams are gonna be more expensive going there.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
However, your TV revenue ought to come up.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
take care
And
of
it
that.
will.
Yeah, okay.
It will, but you know, this first year when we were setting the budget here a
Yeah,
couple weeks
okay.
ago,
Yeah.
it's a shock, and the coaches really don't, they're trying to figure out what it's gonna actually cost to go to Maryland, what it's gonna actually cost to go to Rutgers, and does it make any sense to play, a softball game at Penn State on Friday and then another softball game at Rutgers on Sunday, and how do you get home without missing class on Monday? It's kind of a scheduling nightmare for our
my.
coaches right now.
Yeah.
But now, Maryland, speaking of them, they've got some issues of their own because opting out of their conference commitment is going to cost them, what is it,
$5 million?
Is that?
Something like
Yeah.
that?
It was a pretty big number.
It
yeah.
is.
It was a big nut.
Yeah.
Yep. Have they come up with that dough? Have you
Well,
heard anything about that?
evidently they've run the numbers, what the television revenue is gonna bring them by joining the Big Ten. So I imagine they've got that financial thing figured out.
Yeah.
I got my neighbor down in Florida. He's a big Maryland fan. And he says they're just so delighted to
Oh.
get into the Big
Oh,
Ten.
they should be.
And they're getting money from their owners.
The Big Ten is the
That's
premier
right.
conference in the country. There's no question. And when you go from top to bottom, academics, and all the number of sports that we all offer. I mean, we offer, 24 sports. A lot of these schools don't offer that many sports. They've been dropping sports so that they can afford the ones that they have.
Yeah.
And we have not dropped sports. Fencing maybe the last thing
And
we
everything's
dropped.
coming up rosy
Yeah.
with every one of the
Yeah,
sports.
every year now we've been in the black, and the great thing is, we're one school that does not depend on the university or the state for one dime.
Yeah.
Everything.
And that's the thing
We
you
pay
really
for
have to
shoveling
get
our
out more
walks,
than
mowing
anything.
our lawns.
People don't realize it.
We
They have
gave
to
the University of
advertise.
Iowa a check this year for $10 million for the scholarships that we use.
Really?
Yeah. And some schools, they get a little break. Maybe, I don't know what, I can't name schools, but they might, instead of having to pay out-of-state tuition for their student athletes, they maybe just pay in-state tuition. But we pay the full fare to our university, and we can do it because, well, to be frank, we've got unbelievable fans and unbelievable donors. I had lunch with Bump the other day. And we were going over what we have accomplished in the last few years. Since 2006, we did a $91 million renovation of Kinnick. Then we did a $45 million renovation of Carver, and now we're doing a $53 million football facilities project. We've done that in the last 8 years, and we haven't used one penny of the state. It's all our donors.
Marching band has a brand new practice facility.
Right.
The tennis facility, the rec
Yeah.
department facilities across the river now.
Right.
It's amazing.
It's
It's an arms race, too.
It is an arms race, and the bottom line is you've got to keep football healthy.
Very true.
Football and men's basketball,
Yeah.
they pay the way. Women's basketball, they're revenue generating, but it's not enough to cover
Yeah.
everything. Our wrestling program kind of breaks even.
Yep.
But the bottom line in college sports, you've got to have a football program healthy, and to get the others healthy as well.
Yeah.
And our fans God bless our fans for so many years. They've been, every time we ask them to step up and help us, they do. And it's not just a few. It's the Ohio States and Michigans of the world, they rely on a few top donors to do it all. We rely on a whole number of people at a lower level.
A lot of Bud
giving-
Supples.
No,
Giving,
Yep. Well, a lot of Dirk Kellers. I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
I can't
That's
afford
right.
50 grand or 5 million.
No,
but,
okay.
I can do 2,500 or.
when you do the math, you add those numbers up in this small state. It's pretty impressive what we've been able to accomplish, and
Yeah.
it's not the athletic department. It's
But that
when
helps a
people
lot.
introduce me,
Look at the personnel that we have in these departments. There's not a coach, there's not a assistant coach that doesn't want to say good morning or talk to you.
Yeah.
And it starts with
We had one here once that wouldn't talk to you, and he's
Oh, that's
gone.
not
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, plus I think, we've got to give Mark some kudos because Mark's the kind of guy, if you have a problem or an issue, you can call Mark Jennings up on the telephone and he'll help you out.
or just not answer the phone. I'm out.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean,
We'll,
seriously.
we'll try.
I keep
We
Yeah,
trying.
that's right. You
You
have
know,
people over there. and
Customer service is what we worry about.
Yeah.
And
You have a lot of good people over there that
we
take care of those.
we got a terrific staff that really
Yeah.
care, because look at the longevity. I mean, none of us idiots leave. I've been there. I started with the foundation in '81, and
Wow.
But you come in and made so many close friends.
yeah,
This
Yeah, I
is
got
what
a-
they
I
do.
got a lot of good
The one
friends.
I hated to see go was Mosby.
yeah.
Bob
he's-
Bozeman?
But Gary, now he's my boss, but I'll tell you, Gary does a terrific job running this program. He's sharp, and he knows what's going on, and
But he doesn't get out.
Think of all the changes that have occurred since Gary came on board. So
Oh, yeah.
many
It's unbelievable.
changes.
Yeah.
And it's rapid fire. It's big money changes. It's
And we don't even think about the golf facility. That was a $2 million
No.
facility, and like you mentioned, the tennis and
and that's a beautiful facility
yeah,
too.
yeah,
You got the sports. Is it the sports rehab clinic back there
yeah,
too?
yeah, and
I'm fortunate not to have had to been there yet, but
Yeah.
I hear from other
and then
friends of mine it's great.
we're going to put some money into baseball.
Are you?
Rick Heller's going to do a
Yeah.
heck of a job, and
He already has.
So we put the turf, the infield, the whole infield is
Yeah.
artificial, and this summer we're going to do the whole field.
Oh,
Really?
Will be turf. We're going to put up new outfield fence, new scoreboard.
Really?
Yeah, we're going to put some money into that.
So you're going to keep that facility there for a while.
For a while, because
Yeah.
it's so centrally located
It is,
right now.
yeah.
It's,
Don't move it.
And now it's contiguous. Carver, baseball,
Yeah.
football.
You can walk all
Yeah.
around, come for a football game and go to every one.
Yeah.
Well, the location is good, no
Yeah.
doubt about
Yeah.
that.
Well, parking kind of sucks for a day game, or a Friday workday game, but the location, like you said, it's so
Yeah.
central
Yeah.
for students, for fans.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of fond memories of that place. Of course, I did for the field house too. But
Yeah, me too.
Well, I like the women's
softball.
softball facilities down there.
Very
That's
nice, yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And they let a lot of the high school kids
Joe?
play down there.
As long as it doesn't flood.
Yeah, keep the water out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Have
Well,
switching
Coralville's done a
gears-
lot of mitigation in the last couple of years. I think
Yeah.
Coralville's got their flood issues solved, pretty much.
Well,
Their last project was.
I'm going
this
to knock
summer.
on wood again.
Yeah.
They addressed the recent flooding very well, very quickly. They got experience, unfortunately, and they know what they're doing.
That's right.
But that softball and the track complex, face it, they're built in a floodplain,
Oh, yeah.
and it's.
Yeah.
I think it's bound to happen again sometime, but we'll wait for that. Switching gears a little bit,
Yeah.
we've just got about 5 minutes left to talk. Have any of you guys been to the Game Time League or the Primetime League games this summer?
Haven't been.
I've never gone because I always worry about an NCAA infraction.
Really?
I think I can go, but ever since day one, I've never gone. I know our coaches don't
Stay
go,
away.
so I'm with the athletic department. I don't even want.
Well, the finals are coming up, and I believe they will be shown on either public access TV, this network, or one of the other local networks. The women.
Yeah.
The women have got a bunch of new recruits.
Oh, yeah.
And they are, each of them are individuals, standouts. We've got, I think, 3 Gatorade Players of the Year in their individual states from Minnesota, Indiana, and
There's a Jennings, but no relation.
Wisconsin.
she's the one from Indiana,
Yeah.
yes, Wisconsin. And the gal from Canada, Buttonham, I think her name is, she was some kind of best player up there, too.
Well, yeah, when we had
We had Jan Jensen
when we
on
had
this
Jan
summer.
on here, she told us she thinks this is the best recruiting class they've had.
They lost
gonna be fun.
one player, and they're bringing
Yeah.
4 really,
Yeah.
quite frankly, studs in. I can't wait for that women's season to start.
Lisa's in for some good years coming
Yeah.
up here, I think.
Yeah, they're fun to watch,
They really
Yeah,
are.
they are.
and they get along so well. They have fun
Yeah.
playing basketball.
It's fun to watch them too. They play below the rim, unlike the men's programs in the NCAA. It's just a different game, and I think a lot of us can relate to that, playing below the rim.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Did
always a
you,
fun Sunday
Did
experience.
you go to any of the
too.
games?
Women,
Any of them?
season ticket holder for men and women.
No, I mean.
Oh, prime time and game time. No, my son's had baseball, so
Yeah.
This
I
is the trouble with there's so much things going
Yeah.
on, it's hard to.
yeah.
I didn't realize though, Mark, that the coaches can't even go and observe.
I don't think I know
I
they
can't.
Yeah,
they
I
couldn't
didn't know
use
that.
it.
They can't.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
I don't think that's allowed. So
Yeah.
I think
I don't
Jenny even
even-
talked about that.
I don't even venture out there. I never
Yeah.
have because I don't want to be.
Yeah.
Well, that's
You're-
wrapping up. They play in
You
North
have a
Liberty
hard
at the
time
rec
getting
center.
up to Sutliff.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where we meet.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Sutliff?
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Sutliff Bridge.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good spot.
Yeah. Is the bridge still there?
Yeah.
It's back?
Yeah,
Oh, they
brand
Build a
new.
new one.
You
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about money, they spend about
Yeah.
Yeah.
$150,000.
Yeah.
Oh, more than that.
A
Oh,
few
I
more.
think, I think more like $1 million.
It was over $1 million.
Yeah.
bucks.
Was it
Bridge.
really? I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Let's see now. 38 days before football starts.
Ooh, we got a lot of work to do.
When does practice start, Mark?
First week of
Is
August.
it August? Okay.
Yeah, I think
Probably
media
August
day is
1st?
I think
August 4th is on a
Fourth.
Monday, August 1st is on a Friday, so
I
somewhere in
think
there.
Media day is right in there, like
Yeah.
the 4th or 5th, something like that.
Okay.
When is the Big Ten conference
Next-
media day?
Monday and Tuesday next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
Monday
luncheon.
and Tuesday.
The luncheon will be on Tuesday in Chicago, and that'll be,
Yeah.
you know, those luncheons last forever anyhow. Now we got 2 more coaches to
Yeah.
talk, so it'll be interesting to see if they get out of there about 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Will
from
you
the
be
lunch.
there?
This one I'm going to miss. I've been to almost all of them.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to miss this one.
Why are you missing this one?
Well, I got to have some vacation sometime.
And
That's true.
Are these always held in Chicago?
Yeah.
They've
And they will
always been-
continue to be?
Oh, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where the Big Ten office is, so
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That they-
Now, this year is going to be the first year for the football playoff system. Tell us what to expect there.
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I know I do like the thought that they have a panel just like they do the NCAA basketball that select the 64 for basketball. They always do a pretty good job. I assume this group is going to do a pretty good job of selecting the top 4 that will be in the playoffs.
It'll be an interesting year.
Yeah, and then they'll rotate the venues, and just like Kirk's first Big Ten championship, we of all things we don't get to go to the Rose Bowl. We
Yeah.
won the Big Ten championship,
Yeah.
and then the next
Good.
time he wins a Big Ten championship, we go to the Orange Bowl
Yeah,
again.
figures.
Crazy.
So,
Well, we've got a lot of changes coming in.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to wrap this up, Mark. We're out of time. But we've been visiting with Mark Jennings, the longtime Associate Athletic Director for the University of Iowa. And Mark, it's just a pleasure to have you here each and every time. Hope to see you back here next summer. Hope to see all of you back here, including Earl Murphy, next time we have a new show. It won't be long. We'll be going every week. Until then, I'm Dirk Keller, thanking you for watching Sports Opinion every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. At 7 p.m. on Channel 18, every Sunday night at 6 p.m. on Channel 18. On behalf of Bob Boyd and Bud Supple, again, thanks to Mark Jennings for being here, and we'll see you next time. Until then, remember this: either you're a Hawk or you're not. Go Hawks.
Amen.
Amen.
go Hawks.